Come on in, pull up a chair, and take a load off because today I will be reviewing and paging through Whispers of the Eclipse for Starfinder from Paizo Inc. Will your players be challenged by this third chapter in the Horizons of the Vast adventure path as they go in search of a missing expedition? Or should these whispers just be quiet to allow you to take a complete pass on this adventure? Well, you're going to find out right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, today I'm going to review and page through Starfinder Whispers of the Eclipse from Paizo Inc. This adventure is written by Kate Baker. It clocks in at 64 pages. You can grab the soft cover right now. It is out for $22.99, or you can score just the PDF alone for $15.99. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Whispers of the Eclipse. A few things I'm going to mention before we dive on in. First off, the fine folks over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share my thoughts about this adventure with you. And these days, it is important that you know that. Also, it's an adventure. I'm reviewing it. Here there be spoilers. If you are a player and you're hoping your game master is going to run this adventure, then I would definitely recommend tune out now. There are over 1,400 videos on the Gaming Gang channel. Check out something else. So I'm going to try to stay away from a ton of spoilers, but of course I'm going to be discussing what I like, what I may not like, kind of overall thoughts about the adventure. So yes, there are going to be spoilers here. I'm going to say picture in picture up here. So that means I'm going to be cutting off the upper left portion of the adventure as we take a peek at it. And also we are not going to look at each and every page. Just want to give you a good vibe for this adventure. Lastly, this is all just stream of consciousness. Nothing's been scripted. So I'm just going to share my thoughts as I kind of page through. So let's jump on in. We've got a lot of interior artists, kind of giving them a little bit of credit here. There are tons of them. So if I started reading them all off, we'd be here for like 5 minutes. We're going to open up with an Islanti Star Empire starship. So this is the Alien Explorer. So like all Starfinder adventures, we get a new spaceship, starship, whatever you want to say. And here we've got the deck plans for the ship right here. If you've been following the Horizons of the Vast adventure path, essentially what's going on is the player characters are in charge of a charter on an unsettled planet. Wayland, if I remember right, it's Wayland 4, or I should say it's Waydana 4. I don't know why I want to say Wayland 4. It's Waydana 4. And the previous two adventures have established their control over this settlement, over this charter. In fact, in the last adventure, they had another charter actually join them. Another charter dissolved and joined the player characters' charter. So their settlement has grown tremendously. And quite a bit of time has actually passed on the planet. And that's one of the aspects about this adventure path that's a little bit different than most I've seen in the past, is that there are big time jumps that take place. And there's also kind of a mini game involved with new mechanics as far as taking care of the settlement and growing the settlement also. So in this adventure, it starts off, the player characters are contacted by another charter asking them for help because the leader of that charter and an expedition had set off and they've disappeared. They're missing. Nobody knows where to find them, and nobody has been able to get in contact with them. And there's trouble brewing. There are problems going on at this charter. So they reach out and ask the player characters to help them. That's what the first part of this adventure is. It's a variety of different set pieces that the players are going to tackle. We've got like a local crime gang that's putting a squeeze on some different businesses, especially this theater. The player characters can take care of that. There's a strike that they can help settle as well. And there's some random encounters also. So once they've taken care of that and kind of earned the trust of the acting leaders of this charter, then the player characters are asked if they can set off and maybe try to find this missing expedition with this charter's leader. And that's what the player characters are going to do next. They're going to actually find an abandoned elven ruin. And that's going to give them the ability to actually transport to where that expedition has actually gone to. And it's off planet. It's off of Wedana 4. It's actually on a moon of the planet. So we've got a variety of different encounters, wilderness encounters as well. So then we get to part 3, Moon-Based Terror. So if you've been following this adventure path, there's this dark entity that is being introduced, and it actually devastates all life on this planet every so many years. And of course, the player characters and all the settlers don't know anything about it. They originally arrived at this planet thinking it was completely unsettled, which is not the case. There have been intelligent life forms settling there in the past. So there's the leader of the charter is an android, and the android has actually become vampiric undead, which to me is kind of silly. The android's not alive, so how could it be undead now? The third chapter, the third part of this adventure, in my opinion, is the weakest. I think it's actually really weak. So you're going to get to meet the rest of the team. You're going to actually get to learn more about the Aslanti Space Empire, which is actually pretty cool. But the vampiric android is actually being taken over by this evil entity and finally snaps and thinks that the only way to save her team and the player characters from starving to death or running out of oxygen on this moon base is actually turn them into vampires. So there's a big battle at the end. I found the battle to be very anticlimactic. The NPCs outside of the big bad are reduced down to just one note during the battle. It's on each round, one of them can give like a special action to the players. So they might be able to heal somebody, or they create a distraction, or they flash light. That's all they do. That's all the NPCs do during this big battle. Like I said, relatively anticlimactic. Then we get into our background, more of the kind of background information, the adventure tool kit, as it were. So we get actually a very interesting section about the Elven diaspora, where it discusses how the elves actually traveled to these different planets and settled on various different planets. So we get some new spells and discussion about the planar explorers as well. Then we get into the adventure toolbox. So we get discussion about that other charter that the player characters have been helping out with. We get some information and equipment from the Aslanti Star Empire. We get a little bestiary with some new creatures, different kinds of vampires. So this will probably come in, I would say this come in handy for game masters out there with using vampires in Starfinder, because there's different kinds of vampires. They're not all in this adventure. So I thought that was kind of helpful there. So as you can see here, Void Shard, that's kind of vampire that the leader becomes. Then we get a Codex of Worlds, talking about Waydana 3. So it's telling us more about the planet that's in that system. And then get some information about the next adventure in this adventure path. And that is what you're going to find inside Whispers of the Eclipse for Starfinder. So let's swing on over to the other camera. I'm going to share some final thoughts and give this a review score. All in all, I got to be honest, I think this is a fairly weak adventure. The second chapter of the adventure path I thought was kind of picking things up, because I wasn't too keen on the first chapter either. And I thought, oh, the second chapter is getting a little better. Hey, this might turn out to be a pretty cool adventure path. I think it takes a step back with this entry. And I'm not trying to pick on Kate Baker at all, because it is kind of tough putting adventures together for Paizo, simply because there's so much content that comes out so quickly. And usually your adventure paths are never written by one designer. They have multiple authors. So it's kind of like, okay, well, you get this part, and this is kind of what's going to happen. So I'm not picking on Kate Baker at all. It's just, I don't find this to be all that great an adventure, especially the third chapter on the moon base with the undead android. Personally, if I'm running this adventure, I nip that right in the bud and make that expedition leader something other than an android. Because to me, it's just not logical that something that's not alive in the first place is undead. To me, that's kind of goofy. Anyway, all in all, I think this adventure is, it's okay. It's all right. And I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see with his adventure path. It started off kind of weak, improved. Now it's back to being. So on a scale of 0 to 10, I give Starfinder Whispers of the Eclipse a 6 out of 10. It, like I said, it's not terrible. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to enjoy it. I just find it's a bit lackluster. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. Will not only let you know when I upload videos such as this review, it'll also tell you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you so much for taking time out to watch this video. And here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. See you next time. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.